Bryan Barberena up first on the scale.
Dad bod Barberena. From your interview with him.
Barberena, of course, taking on Vicente Luque here on this main card. Vicente, someone who is on an incredible run of late. $170.5 for Bryan Barberena kicking off the day. And again, he fights Vicente Luque on this main card. And that is a compelling fight. To me, this feels like the Bryan Barberena fight, right? Like, this is the Bryan Barberena zone. Everybody doubting you, big underdog, fighting someone on a big streak.
When is he not going to be underdog? Andrea Lee up next.
Andrea Lee up next. She is, of course,
she's on the preliminary card, the ESPN card, fighting Ashley Evans-Smith.
yes.
I believe she was supposed to...
$125.5 for KGB Lee. Aljamain Sterling up next. He's taking on Jimmy Rivera here on the prelims on ESPN. And this is a fight long in the making. We will talk about that in a second. Aljamain Sterling on the scale. $136 for Aljamain Sterling. Gold chain and all.
Yeah, and he was on the MMA Hour. So hyped up.
Aljamain Sterling says, "Shut up, Jose. He ain't trying to hear you."
He was on the MMA Hour saying this fight means this is more than just a win for him. Him and Jimmy have had war of words dating back to their time in Cage Fury fighting when they were both champions back then.
Up next, Luke Sanders coming to the scale.
Another MMA Lab guy?
No longer. He hasn't been with the MMA Lab for a long time. He's with Fight Ready this week.
That is correct,
Team of Henry Cejudo. He's taking on Renan Barao on the ESPN Plus early preliminary card. It's a big spot for him. $135.5 for Luke Sanders. Emily Whitmire coming to the scale now. She's taking on Alexandra Albu in the opening fight on the main or on the card in general here on Sunday. 116 for Emily Whitmire.
Low key, one of the best interviews on the spot. Yeah. She's great to talk to.
Yeah.
She Benito Lopez out next.
Benito Lopez stepping to the scale. He is taking on Manny Bermudez in a bantamweight fight on the ESPN prelims. $135.5 for Benito Lopez.
He said he was very excited to. His goal is to join Henry Cejudo as one of the faces of the Hispanic American market in the UFC.
All right, guys, Nick Lentz.
This is his first step. Nick Lentz, a long time UFC fighter.
Nick Lentz up now. He's taking on Scott Holtzman in a lightweight fight on the ESPN prelims. And we apologize if we are having connection issues or stream issues. There is the internet in where we are is not the best.
The internet has crashed.
It's not working for me whatsoever. 155.5 for Nick Lentz. the veteran of this card. Followed by another veteran, Alex Caceres, coming up now.
Absolutely.
Sneaky veteran. At this point, he is on his 20th UFC fight. I would not have guessed that.
20th UFC fight, it's still blowing minds.
He's taking on Crone Gracie, the debuting Crone Gracie on this main card. $146 for Alex Caceres. It's a big spot here for Alex. Jody Escobel up now. Another veteran. She's taking on Jessica Penne in a strawweight fight on the early prelims. $115.5 for Jody Escobel.
Keith Jardine and toe off to the side.
Keith Jardine and Brandon Gibson. She's got a whole crew.
Against Miles Jury.
Miles Jury up next. He's opening this main card against Andre Fili in a featherweight bout. $146 for Miles Jury. Scott Holtzman up now. The years are coming fast and furious.
One of my favorite interviews from last night, or from yesterday, said that if Francis Ngannou punched him, he would die.
That's fair. 156 for Scott Holtzman. He's taking on Nick Lentz to open up the ESPN prelims.
All right, guys. James Vick.
James Vick up now. He is the co-main event fighter. He is taking on Paul Felder. $156 for James Vick. Extraordinarily tall for a lightweight, but he makes that weight somehow every time.
Extraordinarily tall for a human, about 6'3". That's still a big boy.
Paul Felder.
Felder right up. These weigh-ins are flying.
James Vick's opponent coming up now, Paul Felder, co-main event fighter in a lightweight fight.
And UFC analyst extraordinaire.
$155.5 for Paul Felder. He looks focused and mean.
Got to think, his last fight was at welterweight. Over the summer, broke his arm. Lost out on a couple fights. So.
He had a frustrating 2018. He is looking forward to a very different 2019. Up next is Andre Fili.
Rascals crew member, Andre Fili.
He is taking on Miles Jury to open up this main card on ESPN.
Danny Castillo in tow. Former UFC lightweight.
$145.5 for Andre Fili. Alexandra Albu up now. She's opening up this card on Sunday against Emily Whitwire in a strawweight fight.
114.5.
114.5 for Alexander Albu.
So that was one of the faster weigh-ins. It's obviously not over, but we crushed through a lot of those fights.
Yes, that is usually how it goes here. The early going is fast and furious, and then it slows down a little bit.
.146.
146 for Crone Gracie, who's making his UFC debut here this weekend against Alex Caceres.
We just talked a lot about him.
All right, guys, we're going to bring up Vicente Luque.
All right, instead we're getting Vicente Luque while everything gets ready in the back for Courtney Casey. Vicente Luque, as we talked about, taking on Brian Barberina on this main card in a welterweight showdown that could have major implications for the winner.
.171.
171 for Vicente Luque. He makes weight for his welterweight showdown.
Absolutely. We're seeing the commission and the UFC holding the hoop and going over the.
All right, here we go. Courtney Casey up next. Here she will need the hoop. She has always been a very big strawweight.
.116.
116 for Courtney Casey. She makes weight to a round of applause here at the UFC.
But again, another real difficult fight for Courtney. Manny Bermudez. Fighting Benito Lopez, correct?
Yes, Manny Bermudez up now, bantamweight fighter.
Didn't get a whole lot of time with him. I kind of got him near the end of media day, but I asked him, like, out of all these fighters, I think people know the least about you. He goes, yeah, I don't really care. Just didn't. He loves, very like the anonymous, I can't say that word, being the anonymous fighter of the fight.
Once again, we have the towel out, and they really need to lower that towel at the moment. This is not... I don't understand why the men don't just get to use the hoop as well. It feels as though that is a much better way to do this. But I guess I'm not, that's why I'm not a commission member. Manny Bermudez up now.
.140.
140 for Manny Bermudez. He misses weight by 5 pounds here for his bantamweight fight against Benito Lopez. That is a rough one. That is a big miss. That is half a division.
Miss. Yep, coming in at featherweight. Right.
He is a big bantamweight. You have to wonder if this might be his last fight at bantamweight. 140. Wow.
But there's no way Benito Lopez doesn't take that fight. I think he's coming off a long match.
All right, Jimmy Rivera up now, and he is... Oh, he fooled us. Jimmy Rivera. Jimmy Rivera holding the towel, drops it. Little prankster.
Yeah, I was about to say he looks like he might have a rough cut. It doesn't look like that anymore.
135.
135. 135 for Jimmy Rivera, championship weight. He says he is full of energy. He totally fooled me. I will say, I thought we were about to have a terrible moment there.
Yeah. He walked out looking rough, like holding the towel, kind of like nervous. He's like, I need the towel, I need the towel.
He was. Ooh, 126.5. So she is overweight by half a pound right now. It appears as though we'll try a second attempt with the hoop. For a second attempt for Ashley Evans Smith, she needs to lose 0.5 pounds from her original weight.
126 even.
126 even. And she looks relieved here on Sunday. And win over Andrea Lee is a big deal.
Very big deal.
And Ashley Evans Smith makes weight with the hoop, 126.
Had low key one of the best entrances at UFC 223. She came out to the Delta Bombers. Yeah, I heard it and I was like, I did not know anyone else knew this band existed, so pleasant surprise on my part.
I forget who it was. He was a good sport about it. It was just like,
Very tall for a flyweight too. I saw when they stared down, I always assumed I always saw Andrea Lee as one of the taller flyweights, but standing next to Ashley Evans Smith.
All right, and we are keeping things rolling here on the morning weigh-ins. Jessica Penne up now. She's fighting Jodie Escobel in a strawweight fight on the early prelims. She is also using the hoop.
Former Invicta FC atomweight champion.
$118.
118 for Jessica Penne. She misses weight by 2 pounds for her fight against Jodie Escobel here on Sunday. And that is a tough miss for Jessica Penne. She is coming off of a suspension, a USADA suspension. This is the first time we are seeing her since that suspension.
And
she has lost 3 straight. She misses weight. That is tough.
2 of her losses were to Andrade and Joanna.
That's fair. And I think that's important to note.
Yes.
Still, that is an unfortunate miss for the former Invicta champion.
Former atomweight champion. So that was, that's 105?
Yeah. All right, and we are back here for UFC Phoenix morning weigh-ins. Renan Barao is up next. He is going to need the towel. And they are holding that towel very poorly. That was, all right. Oh, man, 138 for Renan Barao. We have another weigh-in miss here. He misses weight by 2 pounds as well. That is a second weigh-in miss for Renan Barao, and this has become much more than a trend for him. I mean, I don't know that he can continue to fight at bantamweight.
He missed weight against Aljamain Sterling too, right? In Anaheim.
Yeah, they negotiated a catch weight for that. That wasn't, he didn't miss weight, the California State Athletic Commission.
You are correct.
But it,
258.
258 for Francis Ngannou. Life as a heavyweight. It's a good life.
You're telling me, what was it? Dana said he had like the hardest recorded punch, like the Guinness Book of World Records. Even recognized.
Well, who knows? The Arizona native. Up next, former UFC heavyweight champion steps on the scale with all of his clothes, shoes, and everything. He is enjoying life as a heavyweight. 248 for Cain Velasquez. And our main event here is official. I don't know that there was ever any concern.
I was about to be like, were you doubting that?
I don't know that there was ever any concern, but just in case, this main event is now official. Cain Velasquez in full gear. So plenty of fines to go around here at the UFC Phoenix morning weigh-ins.
I will note though, when she weighed in Argentina, she was like struggling to walk on the scale and stuff. She doesn't obviously look like that right now.
You're talking about Cynthia Calvillo, of course. So let us see. This is the final fighter of the day.
Even.
116 for Cynthia Calvillo, and she pumps her arms. She is fired up.
It's her coach, Justin Buchholz.
Weigh-in stream. To recap, 3 individuals missed weight today. Jessica Penne, she will be fined 20% of her purse. Penne Barao, he will be fined 20% of his purse. Both of them missed weight by 2 pounds. Manny Bermudez as well missed weight by 4 pounds. He will be fined 30% of his purse. Other than that, everyone else, smooth sailing. There was lots of hoops and towels being used, but everyone else made weight, including our main event fighters, Francis Ngannou and Cain Velasquez.